This Shopify store went from $87,000 a month to $297,000 a month with Google Ads in just a few months, with no new products, no new website redesign, or no doubling the ad spend. What we actually did is the opposite of what most Google Ads advice would tell you, and I'm going to break down every single piece of it in this video so you can use this strategy on your own brand. Now, before actually going over the brand, it's very important to understand what this brand is all about. It's essentially a liquor brand based in the United States that we started working with under my Google Ads agency during 2023, basically May of 2023, when on average this brand was doing no more than a couple of $100,000 a month to maybe $70,000, $80,000 a month during its normal season, normal occasion. And the reason why they even started working with us was because they had no real idea of how to even scale the brand beyond what it had already done. I mean, if we go back just a few months before we started work, so essentially let's go back all the way to March 1st of 2022, all the way to before we started work, which was in May, so June or April 30th of 2023, we can see that overall things seem to be just trending. They had done roughly $500,000 during this time period, which, by the way, conversion tracking was off. They were double counting a lot of the data, which means their conversion value of $2 million was actually about $1 million to $1.5 million. But in general, they had this very massive peaks and troughs where certain occasions, like of course Q4 would be very, very good for the business, but Q1 or basically Q2 would be very mediocre, even though this brand was not supposed to be seasonal the rest of the time period besides just Q4. And what this brand owner initially was basically tired of dealing with was all of these policy violations. I mean, regardless of whether it's liquor, if it's like skincare, beauty products, other brands that are in the gray area niche per se, policy violations are one of the most detrimental things you can deal with Google Ads, because what they do on a top level is they reduce your chances of reaching the right amount of audience overall as a whole, but at the same time, the quality is automatically reduced because of the fact that your brand just has too many policy violations, and in Google's eyes, this means your brand is not abiding by Google's policies. But in 2026, here's what you want to understand. Policy violations, it's not like a death penalty anymore, because there's a lot of ways around this, and that's essentially the only way we were able to continue scaling this brand. But what I essentially realized was the main reason why the brand owner was blaming a lot of the policy violations, essentially blaming Google Ads as a platform itself, was because the structure that they had in place was completely off and derailing them from where they wanted to be. This is the most important problem 9 times out of 10 brand owners are dealing with, where they're not getting the desired results. Maybe their revenue is good one month, the next month it's like they're taking one step back, and it's just this constant fluctuation, almost seeming like a roller coaster ride. But the reality is the account structure has a lot to do with it versus the Google Ads algorithm itself. And in this situation, when I did a bit of an audit when we first began working with this brand, that was essentially the main issue was dealing with. From the start of time, the main goal that this brand had in terms of scaling was to, number one, launch a bunch of stuff. Number two, scale horizontally by adding in new campaign types like demand gen, YouTube search, etc. And number three, not optimize the previous campaigns that were already running. And this essentially slowed down their overall growth trajectory, because there were things that were working during this time and getting them some decent results, but they were doing everything else besides focusing on what was already working, which was, in this situation, standard shopping campaigns or just the shopping placement in general. But instead of focusing on that, this brand had Performance Max campaigns running with a bunch of different asset groups. They also had a lot of different search campaigns running at that same time. They had originally been trying out different demand gen types of ads, and there was really no structure or functionality in place for the campaigns that were actually running. And this is, again, a very common problem, because the wrong structure leads you further and further away from profitability. Most brand owners don't realize this, because if there is a structure in place and that's generating some form of revenue, what most brand owners do is that they forget about it, just let it run because it's working, it's seemingly working, getting some traction. But what they don't realize is that their account is getting fed the wrong type of customer, is getting fed the wrong quality of person, and this is ultimately negatively impacting them in the long run. But for this brand specifically, with the structure that they had, they did have some segregation in place with these campaigns. For example, if we just take a look at some of these campaigns, their general structure was to have a very unique approach to their products, which was having the bargain products, meaning special products that they were running big offers for, or they had special promotions for, or they just wanted to get rid of. They would essentially put that group of products in its own performance max campaign, which was this first one right here, and just let it run. And although it had a high amount of ROI, this was not ultimately their main goal and their main strategy that they wanted to go after, simply because these were, at the end of the day, the lower pool of the products with the lower margins. They wanted to go after the products which had much better margins, which could lead them to much more sustainable results, which was missing in their overall approach. But at the same time, along with the bargain products, what they had running on the side in terms of the other campaigns was other sub-collections, other special events related products, special occasions, again, based around sales. So in general, this brand was operating like it was Q4 every day of the year. They were running special events. Their specific landing pages had these events, had special timers on them related to these events. And obviously, running a promo, running a sale 24/7 is one of the worst things you can do, because number one, it forces the wrong type of user through the door, the user that's more about just buying based on bargains, buying based on products, and just generally cheap individuals, which you don't necessarily want to target. And number two, your algorithm gets fed the data from these people who are cheap, which is not the right way to scale in any way, shape, or form. So once I understood this, I already knew that this brand needed a little bit of a bigger revamp than just switching up the product feed or making their product titles better. And now, don't get me wrong, that's the first thing almost that we always do for any brand we work with under my agency, which, by the way, if you run a brand making $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the first link in the comment section below to directly schedule a call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together to scale your brand to the next level with Google Ads. But this essentially is the first thing we always do with the product feed. For this brand, this was going to be very futile, because the thing is, with this brand, with so many policy violations, they're already one step behind the rest of the crowd, and we could not just fix these problems with a simple product feed tweak. So what we did essentially is we started work on the policy violations through the landing page experience itself. What I came to realize after doing a deep audit for this brand is 9 times out of 10, the actual product page contained a lot of the keywords which were against Google's policies. And what we had to do, just like these brands do right here, when we type in the keyword Scotch whiskey, we can see that all of these brands have a specific whiskey that they're selling, but very few brands, if any, actually mentioned the word Scotch whiskey directly. And this is purely because there's a way to go around these policy violations, a way to lower them. Now, don't get me wrong, it's never possible in situations like these to completely get rid of policy violations. You will always deal with them to some degree, but the goal is to abide by enough of Google's policies where it's not detrimental to your overall profitability and to your overall revenue. So that's essentially what we had to do. We had to make the landing page very straightforward with keywords which just talked about the product itself, more about the emotions or the overall feeling that the product induced, how it felt drinking that specific bottle, or how it was like to own that specific bottle, so on and so forth. All these specific words that the perfect ICP for this brand would want to see. And only when the landing page experience was properly optimized did we move on to the product feed, because the ultimate goal with the product feed and the landing page experience was to improve the key signals which were getting sent back to the algorithm. And this is all done with the sole purpose of manipulating your ad rank. What most brand owners don't realize is that when you're in a policy violation ridden niche like this one, bidding more money or just spending more money, it's not the right way to win these auctions. The best way to go about it is to do a complete revamp of how you approach Google from the ground up. But from there, basically focus on the ad rank equation, which essentially is your landing page experience plus the bids plus the budgets along with the expected CTRs. Obviously, we don't want to win any auctions by just bidding high or spending more money. So for this brand, what we did is we started focusing more on the product image side of things and the landing page experience in the hopes of improving the expected CTRs. Now, there's a very key insight I found early on when we began working with this brand, which I truly think is one of the main reasons why it became so successful. But that main insight was the product images within this niche were all plain, simple, little white and boring. Maybe they had the bottle in the mix, maybe they had the bottle with the packaging, but overall, it was just very bland and very boring. So what we did is we started to focus more on A/B tests, which were directly related to the product feed. This brand had already done a very decent job of getting product images, which showed the product in actual lifestyle backgrounds with actual lifestyle imagery. We A/B tested that amongst a supplemental feed, which is essentially a duplicate of the original feed. And that allowed us to know which actual products and product images had higher CTRs versus which ones had lower CTRs. And only when we had implemented a product image strategy to begin with did we move on to the other final parts of the product feed before we moved on to the actual campaign strategy themselves. But in terms of product titles, the main thing again that we realized was a lot of these product titles were basic, were straightforward, some were barely any keywords at all. So what we wanted to do was find a general mixture where we would be the average of our top 5 competitors, because when it comes to product titles, pricing, etc., it's generally better to be the average of your top 5 versus be the outliers. So in this situation, we added a select few keywords based on our research and based on the insight section, which this brand had already done a good job of gathering all that data because they had been spending so much money for such a long period of time. Our main goal was to find those major keywords, which number 1 were high buying intent, number 2 over the last 30 to 60 day period had increasing search volume. So if you look right over here in the last 28 days, we see some keywords have increasing search volume. The main goal during that time when we were optimizing the product feed was to find specific keywords for each individual sub collection, or at least the one that was spending the most money, and incorporate those product titles with these search terms which were increasing in demand. And this allowed us to very quickly come up with product titles which users were not only actively searching for, but also what they wanted to see. And that ultimately brought us to the actual campaign strategy, which we implemented during May and June of 2023, which, by the way, the general approach we implemented then is exactly the same one that we do to this day. And if you look right over here, we went from having multiple different campaigns spending a lot of money during that time to barely having 6 or 7 different campaigns running during that initial portion, which at this point, all of these campaigns are shut off. But essentially, the way I like to look at campaign segmentation, campaign approaches is with the topic of congregation versus segregation. Most brand owners, you might have done this yourself, when it comes to campaign strategies, your ultimate goal is to have segregation. So what you do is you go in, you launch a bunch of campaigns, you make sure that it's properly segregated based on profit margin, or maybe the cost of the goods, or maybe the sub collections. But what happens, and in this situation, this was essentially happening, is a lot of your ad spend, a lot of your budget ends up getting unnecessarily distributed towards the avenues, like for example, towards the wrong placements. If you're running performance max, it might go towards display traffic, demand gen traffic. If you're running search campaigns, it might go towards the wrong keywords. And this distribution happens on a back end level, which most brand owners don't realize it until it's too late. In this situation, what we realized through my initial research was that although they had a lot of performance max campaigns running and whatnot, the reality was because these assets were leading to so many policy violations that ultimately 99% of their budget was actually getting spent on the products directly, not even on the assets. And the brand owner had zero clue about this because they had not done the necessary research to figure out where their budget was getting spent. So they were running all these images, they were throwing in a bunch of these asset groups with more and more images every single time, not knowing that they had zero influence on his top level results. But once we found that out, essentially it was all about getting rid of that approach and only focusing on what was getting them actual results, which ended up being shopping placements. But that's where we essentially focused on. And in terms of shopping placements, we did reduce the overall amount of campaigns that were running to about 5 or 6. But in general, we still implemented a bit of segregation strategies for whatever was running, which was more focused on what made sense for this brand, again, based on previous data, such as new releases versus best performers versus the zombie products, so on and so forth. There was a little bit of segregation still in play, but it was nowhere close to the level this brand was at. But that was essentially the main strategy we ended up running with for this brand. And the beautiful part about this scale is that once we started that overall optimization strategy, once we started actually implementing things and improved the overall conversion tracking for the brand, it seems like ROAS actually dropped. But in general, on the top line, the brand started seeing better and better performance. And this was actually very clearly visible on the back end as well, because they started to see their revenue increase month over month for a longer period of time. I mean, since that time period, they've already done over $30 million in total revenue revenue just through their online store. But every single month and every consecutive year that followed, the revenue for that given month compared to the previous years during that same exact month was almost always significantly better. This has ultimately started to happen because instead of just focusing on adding more things, we began subtracting a lot of the nonsense that was running during this time period. And if we kind of move the time period now from July to April 30th, 2024, we can see that the overall campaign approach stayed fairly the same. We did during this time start implementing a lot of different sets, but all of them, if you look right over here, were based around standard shopping campaigns, performance max campaigns, and a little bit of search campaigns. That's literally it. But flash forward now to 2026 in the last 30 days specifically, this brand is running at a 9.16x ROAS, and this is with non-brand traffic, which takes up 80% to 90% of their budget. They spend no less than $30,000 to $40,000 in terms of ad spend. And if we just look at the overall enabled campaigns, we can see that after figuring out exactly what works versus what doesn't, we have kind of honed in our focus on only a select few campaigns, but just doing more of vertical scaling. But because what we came to realize is having way too many campaigns, distributing that budget across all of these campaigns was not a viable growth strategy for this brand. We would rather keep it more congregated, more focused on what was already working. So at this point of time, we only have 5 different campaigns running. Some of these campaigns run at $2,500 a day budget. One of these runs at $1,000 a day. But the main key here is it's only performance max and standard shopping with one brand search campaign. That's literally it. There's nothing more to it. All we do in terms of scaling now for this brand is just to focus on the main performing collections, which this brand has running, the main sub collection, along with any new drops that they do in terms of a sub collection. So if they launch a new sub collection all of a sudden, or if they launch selection of new whiskeys or new beers or rums or whatever the case may be, we just drop in a new standard shopping or performance max campaign based on that individual collection just to let it gain some momentum fairly quickly before then allowing the standard shopping campaign, which at this point is more of a catch-all campaign, to get more of the traction, to get more of the lost traffic and the sales. And at this point, because it's been running for so long and all we have been doing is just optimizing this, just going in every 14 to 30 days, getting rid of any bad products, bad keywords, and adding in the good keywords, the high buying intent keywords to the product feed. This strategy is basically running on autopilot and it's strongly optimized and it allows us to compete very competitively with all of the other competitors in the market, because now at this point, what we have done is built up the authority to make all of this happen. But from this scale, one thing became very clear to me. Google Ads doesn't just reward bids or budgets as I saw throughout these 2-3 years that I was working with this brand. It actually rewards the brands that, despite their policy violations or if they have a lack of product feed information or any other issue you could imagine, the brands that it favors are the brands that make an effort to please and guide the algorithm towards the right user. And this is what scales in 2026 especially. But with that being said, if you run a brand making $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the comment section below to directly schedule a call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together to scale your brand profitably to the very next level with Google Ads.